Okay, let's do this.
Yes.
So, I've teased that this session, we're going to learn the most beautiful melody in the world, and and that's what we're going to get into. But first, I just want to thank everyone for being in this workshop and for tuning in. Um, the last week, the last few days, I sent out the question, how can we make the course great for you? I really want to build it with everyone, so that channel stays open. Send me thoughts anytime, and I'll also check in with everyone again in a few courses. So today we'll switch gears, and what's fun is even though we're going to explore something totally different today, you can use all the knowledge and experience gained so far. So, a quick summary: we learned black keys, we learned B7, B major, moving around two modes, um, playing chords, arpeggios, dancing rhythms, playing triplets, swinging them, the basis of blues, the boogie woogie. So all this foundation, but also like the way we're approaching it gives you facility and understanding of how to place your hands in space and time. Um, and because it's this path that we took to get here, there's you'll have ways to link back to um, how to work on something if what you're trying doesn't sound right, because you can kind of like return to a simpler stage and build on that, and make and hopefully like get more familiar. And if you have questions on that process, definitely come to me because I want to make that link really strong. So today, it's all about finding melodies, and I like to think that the air is made of music, so it's all around us, like all the time, and we can just pluck from the air whatever we like. It's unlimited with infinite variety. And I think of melodies as the fruit. They're colorful and they grab your attention and your curiosity. Um, and the most beautiful melody is found with your heart. So, this is something that we can feel the truth in. If you recall, if you take your favorite songs, just pick one song, like especially especially from the ones that really deeply connect to your soul. It's likely they have amazing melodies. And where did those come from? Well, the human being who wrote them or who found them felt those melodies and then expressed them with a truth that they experienced in the moment of the performance of it. And so we're going to start from the same source that the greatest songwriters and composers have used to find melodies. And what's nice is the steps you can take to get started can actually be very concrete. Um, and then through that, you'll find your own path to walk and explore and discover new paths for yourself too. So, what is a drone? Does anyone? I kind of showed it, so maybe I revealed the answer. Hello, Elmas. Welcome.
Hello. Hi again.
Um, does anyone know what a drone is in music?
Drone?
A drone?
I don't know.
Okay, so a drone is one continuous sound, um, either a single note or it can be a chord. But if it's a chord, usually it's a very simple chord. So actually, we're gonna play a drone with the piano and explore a relationship with that, with our ears, and then with the voice in order to find melodies. So um, actually, I'll just show because the piano is actually a funny instrument to try to play a drone. It doesn't really, it's not really the ideal um, instrument. The ideal instrument is a shruti box. It's kind of like an accordion, where you can make a continuous sound and it wraps around you. Um, on the piano, when we play a note, the you may have noticed it decays really quickly. So then, if you strike a note, the sound falls, and we don't. I mean, if you're in a room with good acoustics, it can resonate. If you're in a church, it's even longer. But this is not really nice for like a continuous drone that you would want to sing over for a half a minute, 3 minutes or something. So how do we make a continuous drone with a piano? We have to keep playing the same key, or two keys. So the way that I like to do it with a piano is we actually roll an octave, um, and we can start with B because we've been doing a lot of stuff in B. So like something like this. And so in this way, we kind of have a drone, and the octave that we roll doesn't have to be fast. In fact, slower might be better because it's it's just more chill, and you don't have to put as much energy instead of like needing to do something really fast, and you don't have to put a lot of motion into it. And so, how we want to start doing this is kind of getting into a vibe of it and being enveloped by the sound, because we're going to connect to this on both sides in terms of hearing it and then creating melodies with it. So, if you can, I don't know if you want to try. Whoever has an instrument is welcome to try, like, just to roll an octave really, and to have it be like not not effortful, like it's not causing a lot of tension to do this, because when we start adding other things and singing, you want to be in a fairly like relaxed state. Um, so I just want to go real quick over if you have any tension playing the octave, because oh, and also the sustain pedal is great for this, to have the sustain down. Um, that's the foot pedal that comes with keyboards, but then also on a piano, it's the rightmost pedal, so that you can have a sound that continues. And so for the um, for the octave, in case you feel any tension, um, try these steps. Try practice. Try practice. Try practicing rolling it on another surface. For example, the piano lid, and you can do this. And so you can try it so that you're not tensing up your muscles when doing this. And keep in mind that you want to move your larger muscle groups like your torso and shoulders before you tense up the wrist and the hand. And then you bring that sensation, kind of just like letting your hand fall on the surface, you bring that back to the piano. So, what we'll do is a couple steps um, to go from the drone to finding melodies. So, this is really connecting to the ear and the voice. So, I'm going to demonstrate it, but you're welcome to try with me, because we're going to start in B. So actually, we're all going to sing the same note anyway, just to vocalize it. And when you're alone, of course, like no one needs to be around. And right now, you don't need to have your mic on. You're welcome to, but I welcome you to try this with me while we're doing it. So we're gonna say that. I'll just put this up to. The first step is to sing the drone. So we'll sing this B, and we'll go with a long sound. So any syllable works. You can use la. You can use om if you're more meditative. There's the Indian traditional note for the first note is sa. It's kind of like do. So I'm going to use that. Sa. Sa. Okay, we're going to move on to the next level, which is now we sing any notes that come to the ear while we play the B. And this is something that I'll demonstrate, but you'll really have to try this on your own later because the sounds that I'm making are going to interfere with what you try. So this is deepening the connection between what you're hearing and and starting to be attuned to what else might come up. Um, we haven't talked about overtones, but when we play this on a real instrument, it's not just B that's getting played. The vibrations of the strings are also playing all sorts of other notes throughout the frequencies above. And those are the ones that we actually resonate with when we sing with the drone, and we end up responding to those too. So I'm just gonna try and vocalize some notes that come to mind. And for this level, we're not bothering yet with what notes they are. And you also don't need to be in B major. It can be, but if something comes to your ear and you want to sing it and that goes with the B, and it's not in B major, it can be anywhere, then you can sing that too. This is just to find what comes to your ear and sing it. Sa. 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 Now, there's going to be a kind of a familiarization space. Like right now, doing this with you, this is pretty unfamiliar. I do this with myself all the time, but then, being on camera and stuff. So you'll kind of like want some time to settle into it and get into the vibe of it, because what you really want to feel is the connection between the the relationship of the notes in connection to each other. So even when you're singing B, you want it to be connected to what you're playing, and when you sing other notes, you also want to find where the relationship to between the piano note and your voice is finding something that something that you like, something that you're into. So some questions for you to keep in mind. Um, which vocalizations go well with the drone to my ears? Which vocalizations are more weird but maybe intriguing? And which ones can I not stand? And it doesn't have to be so constant. You can go kind of crazy, like but it doesn't have to be any certain way, so you can feel that for yourself, and you can always come back home to the root and reset before venturing out into the wilderness again. So Now we're going to go to the next level of singing with the drone, and we're going to sing B major in sequence. So many of you might have done this before, like if you ever sang in a choir, it's pretty common practice to run a scale up and down. And we can start that here too and guide your voice with the piano notes if you need to. So, sa, sa, it's getting high, low. Sa, 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 sa. And that's also deepening our connection between because each note you want to kind of feel yourself going into where the pitch is. And singing ability is not really what this is about. So if you can't get it on the pitch that you would like, it's totally fine. It's more about finding what the space is to where there's a connection between what you're singing and what you're playing. Okay, we're going to go to the level 3 now, and this is when it starts getting interesting for finding melodies. We're going to do B major, but out of sequence. So let's give that a shot. Could we start with the fifth? Does someone want to try singing the fifth with this? So far, there are no takers from this audience, from this class. There is just hanging out. Okay. I'm gonna do it. Sa. And if you need to guide yourself with playing the note, sa, you can. And it's nice to check it too, because you might be a little bit off, or you might want to just adjust it slightly so that it's more not necessarily in tune, or not in tune in an objective way, but in tune with how you feel it. So what we're going to do is we start with the fifth, and we already tried the root. We tried the first note, the B, but we're also going to access the other notes at their intervals, kind of just on their own. So, for example, like we started with the fifth, but then we're going to do the other ones too. So there's actually two paths that we're going to try. There's I call it the twofold path to playing and singing, because there's playing the note first, and then you identify the interval. Okay, this is a fifth, and then you identify it with your ear. And then the other way is to sing it first. So if I play another interval and I sing sa, which I kind of have to find, and it's a little shaky, but it's like, what is that note? And then I want to find it. And I might search around. Sa. So that's actually the sixth degree in B major. So we're going to go through the notes with that process, and you can flip back between singing first, playing first. Both will increase the familiarity with the ear and that pitch. And it's actually not really about the tone, it's about the interval, because when we switch to a different key later today, all the intervals are going to stay the same, or most of them actually, because we're going to switch modes too. But so now that we've done the 5, the 5th, and the 1, then we go through each of the other ones one by one. So let's try the fourth. Does someone want to try singing the fourth? No takers. I think it's sa. And I'll check it. Sa. After checking it, I can feel it more within the note. Sa. And we'll try the other ones. The second. This one I'll play first. Sa. Sa. And the seventh. This is a tricky one. And so what you can do actually is you can step up to the note if you don't know, or step down. So we'll try stepping up because there's a lot in between. So we have to make ours all the way to the seventh here. Seven. Try the third. Sa. And the sixth. We can go down, step down this time. La. Sa. And if I do the stepping, we still want to try to get good at skipping directly to them. So then what you end up being able to do is to say like song 5 1 6 1 3 1 4. And actually it's not so important to memorize them, but you'll what ends up happening is that you go towards memorization, but it's not something to kind of do from a knowledge place. It's more something to do, something to get a memory of with the body and with the voice. Because later, when we're finding melodies, either ones that are from songs that we like or composing new melodies, we're going to have a familiarity and more and more an increasing familiarity and quick access to where the notes are and an ear for how they sound. Because each note, each one of these um, has a personality. I like to think like they're each kind of a character, and each one has its own quirks and ways of expressing itself. So when you're in the middle of making a new melody or you're writing a new song, you might think like, oh, this could really use this element, and then maybe I'll bring that note and that vibe into it. Are there any questions so far? No, we're good. Okay. So in the next step, we're going to find melodies by ear. So um, basically, we want to find a melody to sing over the same drone. Now, one way we can do that is to pick a pick a melody that you really like, that you know very well. You can try the melody that um, was in the song that you picked for the adventure with the walking and clapping. It was number 6. Um, and if that song doesn't work, maybe it's like not in B major, or you can't transpose it in your head, which is totally understandable. You can try something from this list. So actually, I've got a list of songs in B major. It's a website, and you can look up songs by genre, and it's like a lot of well-known ones that people have submitted, and so you can find a song on there also. To demonstrate it, I'll try. Uh, we'll try the ones that we actually had from last class, and I picked one, and Alitza picked one too. Um, so if we go here, if I sing like the first line of "I Want to Be Your Lover" by Prince, how do I find that? Well, this is the root. And this is, by the way, this is the very beginning of like transcribing a song that we want to learn, and we're going to get into it later in the course, like more in depth. But we're just taking just a little bit of it for the melody, and so it's not really like all the tools that you'll need in order to figure out a song and how to learn that on the piano. This is just kind of like um, a taste of that approach, but not necessarily the whole toolbox to be able to figure out what elements are in a song. Just to see that if our ear can pick it up, then that's great. Actually, that's the best place to start from, is with the ear. I think it's like, I ain't got no money. Mm-hmm. I ain't got no money. There it is. Ain't got no money. Ah. So we go from the first. Ah. This is a little better for my range. Ain't got no money. Ain't got no. So the first note is here. Ain't got no. Second and third note are money. So that's it. And it might take a while to find those because you might need to go note by note, um, and that's okay. Like so much of this, so much of what we do in this class is we find out where things are not easy yet, and that's the place that we want to put in a little bit of attention over time, and then that's actually exactly where we learn. So we can try it with I want to I want to break free, which was Alitza's song. Uh, Alitza, are you interested in singing I Want to Break Free on this drone? I see shaking heads. This one is like most songs. Actually, most songs won't start on the root note, and this is an example of that. So it's, if we find where to sing it, it's I want to break free. So where's that look for it. I want to break free. So we found that one, and for the purpose of demonstration, it doesn't really give you like what the experience is when you actually try it with a melody of your own. So I really encourage you to do that. All right. Are there any questions? Cool. So now we're going to um, go to the next level, which is actually the final level, and this is the this is the oh, I gave an example of Happy Birthday. You can always try Happy Birthday because we know it so well. And okay, so this is also the next adventure for you to do. We're gonna write a new melody by ear, so you'll actually find a new one, and it can be with rhythm or without. I would say at least 4 notes, up to like 20 notes, but maybe like 10 or something, because 20 is a lot. you can write words to it. It might make things easier to go to another note. Like, oh, if I write a song about a watermelon, and that might give me a feeling for, oh, I should go up or down. I don't know. Stay on the same note if you wish. So you can repeat notes if you wish, and then you discover how to play it on the piano. But I want you to try um, both paths on the twofold path, to sing first and then to play first, and see and try both approaches and find a melody that way, and then send it to me. So um, is that clear what the assignment is for everyone? I think so. Okay. Um, Now we're gonna try all this again, and we're gonna try things in C major. So now that you know B, you can identify C by moving up one note. Also, notice it's right under the C is right under the cluster of two keys here. So, and I'm gonna go through this super fast because most of you know C major, and most of you who don't know C major, the concept of C major is going to be very easy. So it's these white notes, and if you're not, even if you're familiar with it, I encourage you to go through and try the patterns, and just know that the lettering C, we know this is B, so this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and here's where it cycles and becomes A again. So that's the only complicated thing about C major, is knowing that from here to here it goes from G to A and A to G, the other way, A to G. So, and triads, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, arpeggios. We're going to do all those things. Basically, now that we know the white keys and the note names, and this is the only part where if you're a total beginner, there's a little bit of catch up to do, kind of like learning the note names and navigating this. But we're gonna sing. We're gonna do all the things that we did today with singing and intervals, but now in C. And it's actually all the same because all the intervals are the same. If we do a drone in C, Sa is still the third. So really, so the only task we have is to learn where the notes are on the piano, but actually when it comes to making melodies and finding things, the connection between the notes played and how it sounds to our ears is the same connection that we'll be cultivating. So I want to I want to ask you to familiarize yourself with C, especially if you haven't already, and transpose the melody that you found in the adventure that I just presented, and to do it in C as well. So you'll send me two melodies. One, it's the same melody, but then one will be in B and one will be in C. So if I say, I'll do one in B and then one in C, to demonstrate. So let's try the drone in B, and then I'll do a drone in B, I'll come up with a melody, and then I'll find it in C. La la la, la 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 la. And since I'll have kind of gotten that in my ear, if I change the drone to a C, find it in C. La 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 la. And then to find the notes in C, you might have to go one by one because the pattern is different. But even if it's slow, you'll be able to find it. So that is where we are at for finding a new melody in B and C. How are we feeling about this situation? Any thoughts? Well, there's smiles, so I don't know if that's a good sign. Maybe that's cool.
My English not enough to speaking. You know,
Okay. Um,
I want to speak, but uh, I can't
okay. Well, if you want, you can.
understand all of your sentences.
Nice. That's great. That's great to hear. And if you want to, if questions come up later, or you have a way, something, you think of something that you want to discuss or ask, you can reach out to me. And also, uh, the either you can have questions either from things that you remember from the class, or if you rewatch it, or if there are things in the class notes that are unclear, you can also let me know and we can go over it. Um, so,
Sure. Yeah, just for me, it feels weird. It's and maybe because I haven't practiced the previous class, it feels like a big jump. Especially based on my very like any basic level. It feels exciting. It feels like we're going a big step up from my capabilities, but I'm looking forward to playing and trying. So
yeah,
yeah.
I think that there is a lot involved with this because ultimately, if we take the perspective that each note, for example, in a major scale, is its own character and personality. Getting to know all of those is a lot, you know? I mean, like you walk into a room and you want to meet seven people. That takes time. It takes time to meet seven people and get to know them, and even remembering their names actually is a lot. So I'm I'm kind of asking of you the same thing. But the thing is, um, I think that that's a helpful approach because getting to know a person is really a process, and you can never really completely know them. I mean, even myself, I don't really know myself. I'm still discovering. So, what happens is we start with one. We start with, you know, can I, if I play a drone in B, can I sing in B, and can I really feel that and embody it? And I think even that is like a lifelong quest, like to really be in one note, and you could meditate on that for like 30 years. But then when we move on from that and we want to say, okay, I play a B, and then I'll try the fifth. The list of the different intervals that I gave earlier, where we start with the fifth, and then we kind of we try with the fourth, and then other ones. That's it doesn't have to be that order, but it's a decent order to kind of like go one by one and get acquainted with them. The fifth, for example, is pretty like we've played it in previous classes, so there's a little bit of familiarity with it. And so I would encourage like an approach where it feels like, or where it doesn't feel like you have to kind of learn them all, but rather just to see how much does it feel comfortable to like get to know this one and to sing it, and and the fact that um, you feel like, oh, maybe you're not familiar with them already is is really helpful to know that that points us to it where the where where the practice would benefit you. You know, like okay, the task is to get to know them, and you can do it really slowly, like step by step. So definitely, I want to. I think that's a good reminder for me to also present this in a way to say like I'm giving you the whole map, but you don't need to do all of it because that's at one time it's actually impossible. We're not going to know. We're not going to learn all the notes at one time. Um, so I don't know if that's okay. Cool. Now, now, we're going to try something new. Now, this is still connected to melody, but we're going to go from a different perspective. And what's going to happen is we'll move between two very different modes. Um, Last time we played B7, and I don't know if anyone here in this class got a chance to explore B7 at all. Nope. So
I know.
B7, you
I
know,
know.
cool.
So,
Yes, nice. Um, so I'll show B7 just to recap. And what we're going to do is actually move between B7 and C major back and forth. So the first thing we want to do is get the sound of B7 in our ears again. If you just sit down at the piano after a whole day of not being at the piano, you probably want to reacquaint the sound. And right now, we spent all of our time so far in the major key, so we have the sound of the major in our ear, but the sound of the 7 is a little different. So the way we'll do that is it's to get something in our ears. It's actually, we can go by the way we did before, um, which was play the notes of the scale, like, or even play the notes together like this. But that's not so helpful to get the sound of it. I mean, even one by one, that's still like, what is the sound of B7? Is it that? I'm not sure. Like, what you really want is some more motion. You can do it with intervals like thirds, but even that is, we're still missing something. So I would encourage the drone method, where we actually have a rolling B again here. And now with this, the sustain pedal is down, my foot is on the pedal. Now when we play the notes of B7, there's a little more context. So now we kind of get more of the sound of what it is. Um, and what we want to do to even connect even more is to sing those notes like before. So and because we're no longer in the major, we're now in the 7. We know that this note has changed. We can really emphasize that to our ears, and to play this sa. We can move away. Sa, sa, and come back. Sa. And now we kind of hear it a little more and have a little more familiarity with it. So that's the first step, just kind of getting the sound in our ears. Now, the new way of finding a melody will be to do this visually. We're gonna first play B7 and C visually, and then listen to the results. So we start with the B, with the drone in B, and we play the notes of the B7 going up, like. And now at some point, we'll switch to C major. And that means we with the left hand. And we also switch with the right hand to play the C major mode, which is all the white keys. So now this is not much of a melody yet, but that's okay. We're getting there. Let's try to do the switch after 8 notes each time. So and we'll switch back after 8 notes again. And now C. Now we've reached the end, we come back down. And so on. Because we chose 8 notes and there's 7 notes in each mode, the cycle doesn't repeat for a while, which is, it could be confusing, but it's also good practice because we try the pattern at different places. And so when you switch, how do you pick the next note? Well, you choose the closest note that is in it, the closest note, black key or white key, that is in the mode that you're switching to. And so the note that you're switching to when the drone switches might not be in the previous mode anymore, and usually it won't actually for these 2 modes because they're so different. How do we feel about this situation? Nice. Some nodding. By the way, if you're interested in learning jazz, this method is extremely useful later also, to develop this kind of way of navigating chord changes, especially once you start doing it in time, because the melody notes, will end up practicing the melody notes as 8th notes, and we can do it with metronome, and then we learn how to skip beats. So it ends up being like. If these are if my beat is like 1, 2, 3, 4. that wasn't a very good demonstration because it wasn't very like sync. How should I say? Like there was no emphasis on on like the upbeats because it was very straight. But basically, when we want to organize the chord changes and anticipating what comes next, um, familiarizing ourselves with where the step changes are is really nice. So, how do we find melodies with this approach? The whole idea is to let our ear catch up with what we're playing. Because if we do this slowly, the ear can start to make suggestions like, oh, what about this? And so this is what I'm presenting to you as Adventure 12. We'll start again with a B drone with B7 upstairs. And then we'll switch the drone. We'll do the same moving up. But then we're going to switch the drone at fewer notes than 8. Or it doesn't have to be 8. It can be... Oh, I'll change the camera. So I'm going to start in B7 again. And before 8, I'm going to switch. Well, actually, that was crazy because the next note wasn't even... It wasn't technically the next note. I was here. And the next note in B, if I switch here, it would be here. What I did was I went from here in C to here. And it's not wrong, but if your goal is to play the next note, then it would have been the other one. So I encourage you to do this really slowly. And what happens is if you switch the drone when you want, it starts becoming informed by what you are hearing. And at any point when you feel like you hear something else that's not a note that's in sequence, try to find that, because that's the ear saying, oh, I'm interested in another melody. So this is a very explorational exercise. And the key to it is really linking what you're playing with what you're hearing in your head. And that's what unlocks everything. Now, I've given you some ways to make that connection, but the more that connection can be strengthened, the more you'll start to find things. So I really want to emphasize that it's the doing of it that will create possibilities. So please try it, and then if you get stuck, then let me know and we can talk about it. Or if any parts are confusing, we can talk about that too. But you've got to try it. So any questions? Okay, we really we really powered through that one. It was just like straight through. Um, and that's a lot. Like, I want to know if it's overwhelming and it's just like I can't get started, but everyone can tell me where they're at with this and give it a shot, and we'll see where to go from there. Cool, cool. Well, I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you and hearing what you come up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It'll be fun playing. And let's see.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.